Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm doing a video today about how to cornrow short locks, a 101 video, step by step. Hopefully I make it simple enough. This video was requested by one of you all for me to do on his head, and here it is. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing I do when it comes to cornrowing or styling the hair in any way is I of course wash, moisturize, and then I retwist. Now because I will be pulling from the scalp to braid and or style whatever style I'm doing that day, I usually do not use clips unless they are necessary, because that's additional tension on the scalp that is not necessary. So all I'm doing here is I'm just using the loop method to retwist his hair. And as you can see, this is the finished product of the loop method. Nothing is really tight, nothing is really pulling, everything is really loose because once again I will be braiding. So here what I'm doing is I am separating the hair into the sections. I'm determining how many braids I'm going to end up with. So the first thing I do for each braid is I pull out the two front ones. I take it out of the coil, the loop coil from the retwist, and I start with 3 locks. So the first 2 locks, and then I take a lock directly behind the first 2 locks. It doesn't matter if it's on the right or the left, just one lock. And the point of starting begins with that 3rd lock that is behind the 2 locks, as you can see. And I braid down until I get to the base of the next lock. Once I get to the base of the next lock, I then add it to the cornrow and I keep on braiding. Over here I'm indicating that there is no lock there, it's just a part, so I'm not going to be adding any lock because that would really be pulling it from somewhere that it doesn't naturally fall. So as you can see, I'm just braiding until I get to the base of a lock. Like that one, I just got to the base with my index finger, so I add it to the braid. If there is space between the locks, the trick is to keep braiding until you get to the next lock. Do not pull a lock up to meet the cornrow. That's where it gets to being really tight. That's where things start to hurt because that lock does not belong in that position. So once I get to the end of that braid, I just invertedly braid it down, and then I secure the end with a rubber band. That's what the braid is looking like. Now for the next braid. As you can see, like I said before, I joined some of the locks in the front, if not all of them. Yeah, I think it was all of them that I joined because he wanted them thicker in the front. So I'm taking 3 locks once again, and I'm starting my braid with those 3 locks, and I'm starting the braid at the 3rd lock. And this gives it a really nice pulled back look instead of that bulky, unput together look, if that makes sense. So once again, I'm gonna add that lock in there because I'm at the base. And then I'm gonna add that lock in there because I'm actually past the base. Now I'm redirecting it so I'm not doing any unnecessary pulling. And I'm going to braid down until I get to that next lock, and then I'm going to incorporate it into the lock. And sometimes if I am braiding and the next section of locks to have another lock added is really thick or it has a lot of locks, I just keep braiding till I get to the one that has maybe 1 or 2 locks in it. For example, the one that's in my hand right now has 3. So I'm going to keep braiding until I end up on the one that has 1, and then I'm going to add to it like such. And it's important to be mindful of the back of the head when you are sectioning off for the cornrows, because the back of the head of course has less locks than the front of the head. On to the next braid. I'm sectioning off based on how much hair I have left. I usually work from one side. Once I get to the middle, I go to the next side. So this is one lock that's been joined. It's not 2 locks. And the one right behind it has been joined also. So I'm going to take another one right behind that one, and the point of starting will be on that 3rd lock. Once again, this gives the front of the head a nice flat and pulled together look. And it's important to note, before I add a lock to the cornrow, I usually make sure that it has adequate tension. That way the retwist will last with this style. Once again, I get to the base of that lock and I add it like so. Not the base of the lock, but the base of the part. Excuse me. And like I said before, it is important to keep the number of locks per section of the cornrow balanced. Right there, I have a really short tip. It's more than likely a lock from the very front, so I'm going to make sure I add a supporting lock to that short lock to make sure I don't have tips just sticking out all over the place. Right, and here's an example of that right there. I have a tip that's just all by itself, so I'm going to incorporate a long lock with it to support it and to incorporate it into the cornrow as seamlessly as possible. And usually when I don't have a lock to incorporate with a short one, but that short one is accompanied by 2 other long locks in that section, I just split them up and have the short one go with a long one. And now I'm going to start working on the other side, doing the same thing, starting with 3 locks. And I was going to start with that lock above his ear, however his scalp is it has a lot of elasticity, so I am very particular about how I braid and style his hair, because it can pull the scalp to where it doesn't even hurt him. It's just that his scalp is very elastic. And a lot of you have even commented saying that the style's too tight, his scalp is this and that. But the actuality is that his scalp is very, very elastic. It moves no matter what. It moves if he frowns up his face. So I'm sure a lot of people have a scalp like that. It's not that the style is too tight, it's that the scalp is very elastic and it moves and molds to whatever is pulling on it. And there's a short one, so I'm going to incorporate a long one to make sure that short one doesn't just stick out of the cornrow. I get a lot of the tight comments from you guys, but it's really important to note that I am super against tight styles because I myself could not handle them in my head, so I don't do that to anybody else. I'm very empathetic in that way. So when you guys comment saying, oh my god, that looks so tight, looks like it hurts, more than likely it's not if I did it. And now I'm just gonna let you watch what I've just explained. Okay, so this area is a little interesting because these are areas that I joined, but I still wanted that parted cornrow look. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna still split it where the parts are by making 2-strand twists, semi 2-strand twists. Then I'm gonna take them as I would do just one lock. And then I'm gonna take that lock, that combined lock in the middle, to be my 3rd strand, and I'm gonna proceed to braid. That way it looks like the beginning of 2 cornrows, but it's actually 1. And I'm doing the same thing I've been explaining in the beginning, is I'm braiding down until I get to the base of a part, then I'm grabbing that lock and incorporating it into the cornrow. And this keeps you from having to pull locks to put them where they naturally really don't even want to be. And once I am done, I usually pull his hair back into one little ponytail because to me it just makes it look more pulled together and neater. He sometimes just lets it hang because he wants to enjoy the growth of his hair, but I like it better that way, it looks neater. And this is the finished product. Here's a few different angles of his hair. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.